In this video, I'm going to talk about a topic that does not get broadcasted enough. And I'm going to teach you how I use it to eliminate all bad trading behaviors. Let's dive in. The topic I'm talking about here is emotional intelligence. You see, we get a lot of advice of how to control our emotions, but we never really go into depth of what emotional intelligence really is and what does it really consist of. To me, emotional intelligence, if I had to summarize it in one line, it would just be simply being able to have the self-awareness to recognize when you're feeling emotions. Also, being able to understand where these emotions stem from, interpret them, and also channel them in a way that's productive to whatever situation you're currently in. That is my simple definition of what emotional intelligence is. There's two main benefits I've noticed that having emotional intelligence gives me. I noticed that most emotional actions cause probably the worst outcomes you could possibly imagine. And just being able to have just a little bit of emotional intelligence just allows me to eliminate most of those impulse actions based off of or fueled by emotion, which and then turns out of elimination of most of my bad results in trading. For example, revenge trading has no longer been a problem for me, nor has strategy hopping or pretty much majority of the bad trading behaviors that cause us a substantial amount of time in trading. And then the second benefit I would say is just a better understanding of beliefs. So I have a key idea that I've kind of been following and I truly believe in is that emotions are fueled by a certain belief. So emotions are fueled by an interpretation of the situation, and that interpretation of that situation is fueled by a certain belief you may have. And I believe if you have just a little bit more or a little bit higher than average emotional intelligence, you will tend to be able to figure out what beliefs aren't serving you way quicker and kind of stop them in their tracks so it doesn't take too much time from you. So now to break down what emotional intelligence really is, because in trading we have to learn how to control our emotions. And emotional intelligence, originally, when I read the book Emotional Intelligence 2.0, they broke it up into 4 blocks. And the 4 blocks is very important. But for right now, as traders, and this topic is mainly for, day traders, I want to just focus on the first 2 blocks because those are the blocks that's going to produce the 80% of results in trading for us. And the first 2 blocks is just simply self-awareness and self-management. And self-awareness is just simply put being able to understand being able to recognize how you're feeling in that exact moment. Just being able to be self-aware and building your awareness in self and, what actions are dictated by what emotions and things of that nature. And then the second is just self-management. So self-management, if I have to summarize it, would just be finding alternative productive routes in order to channel that emotion, because eliminating emotions is a bad game to play because you only make it worse. So you got to find a way to channel these emotions in a way that's beneficial to you. Let's go ahead and start on the first part, which is practically self-awareness. And like I said a little bit earlier, self-awareness is just all about being able to understand how you feel in that current moment and why. And I have this firm belief, if we just practice whatever skill we're trying to master, we'll get really good at it. So how to practice self-awareness? The first step I say is just go online and try and find, I think it's called an emotional wheel. So it has like this wheel of like the 5 main categories, like maybe anger, happiness, sadness, joy, and frustration, whatever it is. And then you look at this wheel and then it'll have those 5 categories and then it'll break into other subcategories and make this one big wheel. But you get a distinct word for every different type of emotion. So I may be in the angry subcategory, but there may be a difference between irate and frustrated or disappointed. You get what I'm saying? So that's what that wheel helps you do. So the first thing is you find one of those wheels and you just simply use it every time and you try to figure out what emotion you're basically feeling. You can use this while you're trading. You can use this just out of the blue on a random day. But the goal is to use this wheel to find the exact word of how you're feeling. Because if you're able to identify the feeling, you can go deeper en route into the second step of practicing self-awareness, with just understanding why you feel that certain way. So once I've identified the word that I'm feeling, for example, if I'm feeling disappointed in my strategy after backtesting it for a while and, seeing certain stats or something like that, then I can understand, okay, cool, I'm feeling disappointed. Why? Right? And I look around and I just ask myself that key word, why? And when you ask yourself why, your brain will automatically try to think of ideas, think of answers to give you. Here's a common thing I've noticed. When trying to find that right answer, you gotta kind of use, it's weird, but you gotta kind of use your heart. And you gotta kind of use your heart as a radar. So your brain is gonna give you multiple answers. The first one is maybe because I lost the trade. And then you feel like a little pump or something like that. You feel like, a little signal pops up on the radar. But you still gotta go deeper. The answer should be a belief. That is just that simple. The answer should be a statement that you highly believe in. So, for example, I don't know. For me, I remember when I used to get disappointed at losing trades and I used to get disappointed in my strategy. It was just simply because I had this certain expectation that a strategy is supposed to make you profitable. And you're supposed to win more than you lose, right? And the strategy is supposed to make you stupidly profitable. And while that second statement may be kind of true, or it may not be true, or whatever, I noticed that the first statement is that I had an expectation to win more than I lose, even though I thought I accepted losing. So to recap the whole thing, what I was just basically saying, the second part of practicing self-awareness is just understanding why you feel that certain way. And the key thing that I want you to get away from here is that emotions are fueled by belief. Emotions are fueled by a certain interpretation of a certain situation, and that interpretation is only dictated by a certain belief you have. It's different for everyone else. The main thing I just want you to understand is that there is an equation to bad behavior, and there's an equation to negative emotions. And if you could just understand that emotions are fueled by your interpretation on a certain situation, and then that interpretation on a certain situation is determined by an internal core belief you have, you can reverse engineer to find the belief that isn't benefiting you. Now, once you figured out that emotion, right? You figured out the emotion you're feeling. You figured out what interpretation is causing you to feel this emotion. And then you figure out what belief brings meaning to that interpretation. Then I say you can get into the second step of self-management. You take the time to figure out why you feel this certain emotion. And you go thoroughly in depth to the point that every time you feel this emotion, you know exactly why, and you know exactly what is triggering it, right? So you do all the thinking in one sitting, and every time that you feel that emotion, you automatically have an answer. The answer automatically pops up, and you automatically know what to do to fix it. That's why I say kind of go in depth to try and figure out what belief fuels it. But just figuring out the emotion by itself, you can get into the second step of self-management. Now, self-management is just finding an alternative route that will be far more productive than the action that you're currently thinking of. So, for example, in my example, let's say the example of we're angry, right? We're angry, we're frustrated, we lost a trade, right? So most traders, they take the first route, which is just simply going into revenge trading, not knowing there's a whole different route that's far more productive, which is just simply walking away, right? So every action has a reaction, you can so-called say. We're just simply saying every action has its consequence. And you got to figure out what consequence you want to deal with. Revenge trading, yeah, cool. You may make back that trade and you may be good, and that's cool for that one scenario, but in the next scenario you lose everything you have. While walking away doesn't lose anything. Sure, you lose an opportunity, but once you truly believe that anything can happen in the market, you realize, bro, opportunities are always going to happen. You're in a market where opportunities happen every single second. So it's like it kind of gets rid of that fear of missing out. But that's one of the biggest things. Like when you're angry in trading, there's different routes you can take. When you're sad in trading, there's different routes you can take. But we always default on the route that makes us feel better in the now moment. Instant gratification. If I win this trade after losing this next trade, if I win this trade, I'm going to feel good. All right? Instantly. Right? I'm going to feel like, yeah, I got you back. But if I walk away, I'm not going to feel good at all. Not in the instant moment. Maybe after going on a walk 5, 10, 15 minutes, I'll be like, this was a smart decision. Almost everything good in life is delayed gratification. That's one rule you got to understand. Almost everything good in life is delayed gratification. It's you doing the work then and there and not seeing any results. and just letting the results compound over time until one day it just hits you like a match. The point I'm going with this self-management is you have to understand the emotion you're feeling. You have to understand that. And then you have to look at what actions is these emotions causing you to take. So then you got to look at the action and you got to see, okay, cool. How would this benefit me over the long run? If you dealt with the consequence of revenge trading, you'll instantly know that this ain't the answer. But sometimes you got to go through that experience to find out. If I had to summarize it in one line, it would just simply be finding a different way to act on your emotions that is more productive to you. The key point in self-management is just finding different ways to act on your emotion. The whole goal and the most important part, and if I had to just summarize emotional intelligence into just one statement that you can just take away, even if you didn't understand a single thing in this video, if you can just take away this one statement and just apply it, you'll be straight as a trader. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize the emotions you feel in the current moment, understand where these emotions come from and what is triggering these emotions, what interpretation causes you to feel that certain way, and then managing these emotions, not getting rid of, because you can't get rid of emotions, but you can choose to act on these emotions in a way that is productive to you. That's it. Because one thing you get away from the video, I hope, is that. And until next time.